Sivamangalam. Today I will be sharing a very interesting story about the world's only enlightened Siddha living today. Siddha VASI Siva Chittam. And the name translates to the being who conquered Shiva's Chitta. So let's get started. So this story spans almost 3,800 years plus of a man whose willpower, which said, never say die, and his quest to achieve or reach Shiva was so extraordinary that it finally culminated in unlocking and unraveling the world's oldest spiritual secret called as the Chidambara Rahasyam, which was deliberately hidden from humanity for the last 5,648 years. The story goes back to Siddha Tirumuler, who is called the grandfather or the first of all Siddhas in the Siddha tradition of the Tamil culture. So, Siddha Tirumuler lived for almost 3,333 years plus. And in this lifespan of almost 3,000 years plus, he wrote a book called as Tirumandiram, which is a collection of 3,333 Shiva Sutras, which he received from his master Nandi. Okay, Nandi had 7 students: Sanat, Sanat Kumar, Sanatan and Sananand were the first 4 who spread the Sanatana Dharma. And the next 3 were Vyagrapada, Patanjali and Tirumuler. We all know that Patanjali Maharishi wrote a book called as the Yoga Sutras. Similarly, his contemporary or his classmate wrote a book called as Tirumandiram, and that is Siddha Tirumuler. Siddha Tirumuler, in his entire lifespan, initiated all the sutras to his students, either in the physical realm or in the non-physical realm. But only one sutra was never given away. That was Sutra 909. Okay. He wanted to give this to one of his students, but when he decided to initiate one of his students into the Sutra 909, 9 crore yogis in the subtle realm come and stop Siddha Tirumuler from giving this secret to anyone. The reason? Because Kali Yuga was about to come, and any asura could take advantage of this sutra and create havoc to humanity on earth. And so they stopped Siddha Tirumuler from giving this away. And then Siddha Tirumuler decides to not give this sutra, and then he moves on to the next sutra, 910, 911, 912, 913 and so on, until 3,333 sutras are given, but only 909 was not given. So when Siddha Tirumuler takes Jiva Samadhi, his body goes back to earth, but his soul goes back to Shiva. Now you have to understand this very carefully. Knowledge exists in our consciousness as Chitta. Okay? It's called the subconscious mind, where every memory of our human evolution from the first cell of amoeba to all the animals that we evolved from, right up till being a human being, and until we leave our body consciously to achieve liberation, is all stored in the chitta. Now, we all must have heard about the world's special temples, and one of them is called Chidambaram temple. The name itself is telling Chitta and Ambara, meaning Chitta resides in the Ambara. That means consciousness is all pervading and it resides in the sky. And the sky is synonymous with Akasha. Now, when Siddha Tirumuler left his body, his Chitta went back to Shiva, the original abode from where it came. Now, all the knowledge which he had given to the students definitely went on to next generations, and people practiced it, and many people got liberated, and a lot of things happened. But only one sutra, that is 909, was not given, and it went back to Shiva as well. Now for that to come back to humanity, a man spent almost 3,800 years in intense penance, only wanting to see Shiva. That was the target and the goal. But how does one go and achieve Shiva? There's a song called in Tamil. It says, Odi Odi Utkalanda Jyotiyai. If you see the lyrics properly, it says, and it explains that crores and crores and crores of yogis, in fact advanced yogis who had great knowledge about mantras, have died in pursuit of accessing or unlocking the secret. But finally, in this lifetime, that is today as I'm speaking, Siddha VASI Siva Chittam was finally gifted the Chidambara Rahasyam as a boon for his unwavering, intense, death-defying and determined quest to see Shiva. We all know that when Shiva came, or Shiva comes down to earth to meet any sadhaka, his dharma is to give a gift and then go back. He never goes back empty-handed without giving anything to the sadhaka. So here is a proof of a man showing that Shiva came to gift the Chidambara Rahasya Sutra, the formula that exists in an encrypted form inside the Akasha Lingam of Chidambaram to him. So I'd like to explain the situation and how this thing unfolds, and how Siddha VASI Siva Sittham, what he is titled today as the world's only enlightened Siddha, to receive the Chidambara Rahasya Sutra. So the story goes like this. A young child of around 11-12 years is eating food at his home. His mother has served him rice on his plate, and it's around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And the mother is a very poor woman. She's basically a hard working laborer in the construction industry. So she comes home after her work in the afternoon and she serves the young child around 11-12 years food, and she goes back to her work. 12 o'clock, the food is served on a plate, the child is sitting. So when the mother returns at 4 o'clock in the evening, the child is still sitting there and not eaten a single grain of rice from the plate. The mother is very angry and she says, "You're not fit for work. I had asked you to do something and you have still not finished your lunch." So she's angry with him and she scolds him. But at that point of time, something else is going on in the young child's mind, something is moving around. So the child is also angry that he's got scoldings from his mother, and he leaves home and never returns for the next 2 to 3 years. So assuming it's 12 years, he does not return for the next 3 years. So in the meantime, 3 years, he goes to a nearby hill where there is a Shiva temple, and every day there is annadanam, that is food being served to everyone, whoever visits the temple. So he makes a living over there, food is being served, and then he stays over there, not going home. But an interesting event happens there, that is an old man used to come every day in front of the Shiva temple and recite a couple of sutras every day. So the old man was around 80 years old. He carried a book called Tirumandiram, which was completely written in Tamil. And the author was Siddha Tirumuler, who was the world's first Siddha. Okay. So for one sutra to repeat again, it would take almost 3,333 years. That is approximately 3.5 years. You could say like that. But then, as days go by, the old man is reciting a sutra that is on page 909 of Tirumandiram, written by Tirumuler Siddha. And it says in Tamil, "Sukumam Yennairam Namasivai Japitalume, Sukumamana Vinay Kedikalam, Sukumamanas Vali Kanikalam, Sukumamana Sivana Anandame." So, this is the sutra, which translates to, when anyone chants Om Namah Shivaya 8,000 times in the subtle realm, one will find the way to Shiva, his entire karma will be destroyed, and he will find the bliss of Shiva. Now, the 12-year-old boy was sitting around that old man listening to this sutra being recited. And because the 12-year-old boy was every day around the temple, he used to bring tea, a cup of tea, to the old man as a service. So on that day, when this 909 sutra was being recited, the 12-year-old boy asks the old man, "The sutra is so simple. If one has to chant 8,000 times Om Namah Shivaya, that's not a big deal. I can do it as well. So what's the big deal?" And then the old man replies, "You're a small man, you're a young man, you do not know things. The sutra is written down, but nobody knows how to chant 8,000 times Om Namah Shivaya." The 12-year-old boy replies, 8,000 times? How difficult is that? I can do it. That's not a big deal. But then the old man replies, yes, anybody can do 8,000 times. Even I could do it. But it says, Sukumam Yennairam. That means in the Sukshmam, which means a human being has three layers basically: the body, the mind, and the soul. So your chanting must be done in the soul or the subconscious. Now, the method to chant Om Namah Shivaya in the subconscious is not explained. Nobody knows. And this is Chidambara Rahasyam. And then the 12-year-old boy is dumbstruck. He thinks for a moment. I think this is very interesting. Then he asks how to do it to the old man. The old man says, even I don't know. Nobody knows. Only Shiva knows it. The only man who knew this was Siddha, Tirumuler, Nandi, and Shiva. And because Siddha Tirumuler never gave this secret or the method to count in the subconscious mind, it has never been given to humanity. And so the secret has been lost. Crores and crores and crores of yogis have died in trying to bring this thing to the world or unravel the secret, and nobody is unable to do it. And then the 12-year-old boy challenges the 80-year-old man. Even for once, if Siddha Tirumuler has chanted 8,000 times in the Sukshmam or in the subtle realm, I take up this challenge and I will come with an answer. He challenges the old man, and the old man simply shoos away the 12-year-old boy, saying, "You are too small, just go away from here. Do not talk nonsense with me." The 12-year-old boy takes this very personally and says, "I will come back with an answer." So this is happening at the base of the mountain called Kollimalai in Tamil Nadu. And then the 12-year-old boy starts thinking, he starts doing japa, he tries to count, he's doing everything. So it takes around like maybe from the 12th year, next 6 years, Siddha VASI SITTHAM, or the 12-year-old boy, is continuously chanting, only to understand that this sutra is there only with Shiva and nobody else can give it to anyone. So he goes back to the mountain and then he starts his penance without knowing, with the only aim of understanding and understanding that Shiva would come, And why would Shiva come to him? That also has a background story. In fact, when Siddha VASI SITTHAM was born, at the age of 4, his father has died and gone back to Shiva. So his father's body is being burnt in the cremation ground, and Siddha VASI SITTHAM's mother is holding his hand, the 5-year-old boy, and telling him, from today your father is Shiva and nobody else. So from the 5th year, the boy doesn't understand that Shiva is now the father. So the young boy grows up 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 9, 10, 11, 12. And all these years, he is wondering, if my father is Shiva, why cannot I see him? This was one of the triggers that makes him understand the point of discussion with that old man who was discussing Tirumandiram 909, where he says only Shiva has this secret. And the background of his mind, he understands that his mother has told him that Shiva is his father. Now two things are up in the mind. One, Shiva is his father, and Shiva has the secret of Chidambara Rahasyam. So he sits with deep focus only to see his father Shiva and not anything else. At the 18th year, finally Shiva comes in Shabda Rupam, that means in sound, because Shiva is not visible to anyone. He can only be heard. This is the truth. No man ever has seen Shiva on earth. But when Shiva came, his sound was heard within VASI Chittam. And when VASI Chittam wanted to confirm that if it was Shiva or not, that is, in the subtle realm, Siddha Tirumuler also comes and says, young boy, I am Tirumuler, and Shiva has really come to meet you, and he is going to give you a gift that no man ever has received in this Kali Yuga. So when Shiva and Siddha Vasi Siva Sittham are speaking in the subtle realm, Tirumuler is the witness. And then Shiva, as per his dharma, asks Siddha Vasi Siva Sittham to ask for a boon and what he wants and why he has called Shiva. That time the answer goes like this by that 18-year-old boy saying, I did not come here to ask anything from you. I only wanted to know if you are really there in this world, because I have not seen my father since I am 5. The whole world and my mother always said that you are my father, and I have never been able to see you. So I wanted to see you, and that's why I sat waiting for you. And now that you have come, I'm really grateful. Thank you. You may go now. But then Shiva is very happy and says, I can understand your intention, but I have a dharma as well. Whenever I come, I have to give a gift without which I will not go. And since you have not asked for anything, I think the very reason that you sat here chanting Om Namah Shivaya and trying to chant it 8,000 times in the Sukshmam, and because it is not known to humanity, I think the time is now come for it to be unraveled, and I will give it to you. And today you are the master for this sutra, and you will give this to the entire humanity. And Siddha Tirumuler will train you for the next 14 years. Okay? So he says, all the best. Siddha Vasi Siva Sittham receives the Chidambara Rahasya Sutra, and then he goes away. So next 14 years, that is from the 18th year, that is almost 32 years, Siddha Tirumuler trains Siddha Vasi Siva Sittham to become the world's only enlightened Siddha in human form, to carry ahead the mystical Tamil Siddha tradition and make the world blissful place to live for all human beings. So the story begins from the 18th year to the 32nd year. And then after his penance is complete for the next 14 years, Siddha Tirumuler advises Siddha VASI SITTHAM to keep this sutra as a secret and not to reveal it to anyone until his 48 years. So from 32 age to 48, that is approximately another 16 years, the sutra has never traveled to anyone. In the 48th year, Siddha VASI SITTHAM unravels it to a select few students who come in search of the Siddha. So this is the story of Siddha VASI SITTHAM. And I will now chant the sutra and let the whole world know the 6 lines, the formula of Chidambara Rahasyam that is inside the Chidambaram temple and now accessible to any human being on earth. And why it is important? This is the master key for all the 13 Jyotirlingams. This is the master key for all the 51 Shakti Pitas on earth. This is the master key for all the 108 Divya Desams. Every temple consciousness can be opened by this master key. Every temple or Shakti Pita can be locked by this master key. There is no other master key which can do wonders like this. In fact, this is the world's first AI, that is artificially intelligent code written, 5,648 years precisely before, to automate human consciousness for balancing the mind, for creative consciousness, sustenance consciousness, destructive consciousness, concealment consciousness, and the grace consciousness. And this is called as Nataraja Tandavam. What Shiva in the form of Sadashiva or Nataraja is doing in Chidambaram. Nataraja is basically doing various acts. Specifically as Nataraja, he is doing the Panchakrityas or the 5 actions called as creation as Brahma, sustenance as Narayana, destruction as Muruga, concealment as Rudra, and Anugraha as Sadashiva. So when a human being can now understand this secret, he can use this sutra to take care of his karma and design his life the way he wants. In fact, no human being shall ever now have a painful life full of sufferings. The time has come to elevate human consciousness to a higher level where there is no pain and suffering. Siddha VASI SITTHAM explains that the mind is central to a peaceful life. An agitated mind is like a strong, mad male elephant gone rogue. It could destroy anything and everything in its path. That heavy power of a mad male elephant, if utilized in a very careful and directed manner, can do great wonders. But the issue lies in not understanding how the mind works and what parameters need to be in control. Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also says, one may not need to conquer the entire world as a king. If you could only master your mind, you have conquered the entire universe. So Siddha VASI SITTHAM also says, mind is a powerful entity and it's got a certain power like an elephant. Now imagine one elephant is so destructive. Imagine maybe 1,000 elephants, or maybe, to be precise, the power of the mind has now been quantified by Siddha VASI SITTHAM. And he says the power of the mind equals to 64,000 crore mad male elephants that have gone rogue. You cannot make these many elephants to sit in one place listening to you. Correct? That is the power of the mind. But then there is something above that as well. And that is Chidambara Rahasyam. When you chant the Chidambara Rahasyam, the mind gets trained to settle down like a pond that is absolutely still without any waves. And when waves are all settled and the pond becomes absolutely still, you can see the depth of the lake, whether it has fishes or any treasures or stones. Similarly, when our mind becomes still, we can see through lifetimes of our evolution and know what we have done, either right or wrong, and why our present life situation is, whether good or bad. And when there is a certain wrong situation happening in our life, we can simply see back and understand that this is a karmic comeback. And the only way to change the situation is to change the karma that one created in his previous time. Till date, there was no possibility for anybody to change his own karma. But now, Siddha VASI SITTHAM brings the Chidambara Rahasyam to simply alter one's karmic consciousness and delete that which is not required in our life. And tomorrow will be a great day. That is what Siddha VASI SITTHAM says. And I think the whole humanity will now chant this sutra to clear up all the mess that one has created in their previous lifetimes and begin a completely new journey with absolute peace and fulfillment. Siddha VASI SITTHAM also says, the mind which is peaceful can concentrate, is powerful, and accomplishes all the activity one wants to complete. And that is only possible when Amritam, or the elixir that is formed in between our eyebrows, or what we call as the pineal gland, when Amrita percolates in the human system, or what we call as the elixir percolates in the human system and achieves at least 51% in proportion, the human system becomes completely healthy, the mind is completely at peace, is still, and then productivity increases. That is the base of a powerful human being. That is the base of a powerful society. That is the base for a powerful nation. Peaceful human beings will not become addicts either through drug misuse or will not get into sexual addiction, will not get into antisocial activity. Any mental disease can be taken care of easily. The society rises as a powerful society, a peaceful society, a highly accomplished society, a prosperous society, a prosperous nation, and finally, prosperous humanity. This is the goal of Siddha VASI Siva SITTHAM. He says, let the world attain the bliss that I attained. He says, like the physical body needs food when it's hungry, the soul also requires food that is of the subtle nature. If you do not empower the soul with the food that it wants, the soul power is very low. Human beings cannot achieve with a powerful soul, without a powerful soul. So, he says, if the body asks for food, we must do charity and donate food as annadanam. At the same time, because the soul is hungry as well, we must give it food in the form of sutra. And then the soul becomes powerful, and then it's at peace. And when peace arrives, a man's life is finally accomplished. This is the teaching of Siddha VASI Siva SITTHAM. I will be taking up the sutra and how to chant the sutra in the upcoming sessions. Today was just to introduce you to the sutra. I will just repeat the 6 lines. The first line goes, but before I will chant the Guru mantra and the Vinayaka mantra first. Om Gham Ganadipataye Nama. Om Gham 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 Ganapate Raksha Raksha. Om Gham 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 Ganapate Raksha Raksha. Om Gham 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 Ganapate Raksha Raksha. Om Gham Ganadipataye Nama. Om Gham Ganadipataye Nama. Om Gham Ganadipataye Nama. Om VASI Siva SITTHAM Devaya Nama. Om VASI Siva SITTHAM Devaya Nama. Om VASI Siva SITTHAM Devaya Nama. Now, the Chidambara Rahasya Sutra. Om Namah Shivaya. Hara Hara Shiva Shiva Sadashivam. Om Namah Shivaya. Hara Hara Shiva Shiva Srishti Shivaya Nama. Om Namah Shivaya. Hara Hara Shiva Shiva Sthiti Shivaya Nama. Om Namah Shivaya. Hara Hara Shiva Shiva Samhara Shivaya Nama. Om Namah Shivaya. Hara Hara Shiva Shiva Dhirodai Shivaya Nama. Om Namah Shivaya. Hara Hara Shiva Shiva Sadasivam Dhirodai Sadasivaya Nama. So these are the 6 lines of the Sutram. In the next sessions, I will be taking up and revealing a lot of other interesting facts about the Chidambara Rahasya Sutram, how it will change humanity, because we all have a lot of problems, specifically with related to health, wealth, relationships, I think that is 99% of humanity which is after it. But then there are other people as well who are into advanced search of knowledge. Even for them, there are ways how the sutra can actually benefit them, and we will look into it. So for today, I think it's been a great session in explaining the sutra and its origin and how it came on earth. So I thank my Guru, VASI Shiva SITTHAM, and I have been a part of this journey, and the sutra has made a tremendous change in my life as well, and a great impact it is going to bring to entire humanity. Siva Mangalam.